an outdated form of application. Because these forms are updated. If you are not in the know, they are updated regularly, the application forms. So somebody just goes on the internet, downloads an application form. Some people, they had actually wrong class of is applying as a visitor. He goes into international mobility program, a program for maybe people who are supposed to be coming from about 7 European countries, and they are students over not above 35 years and not below 25. University students, they are given those given that opportunity to come explore more of Canada. So somebody goes, is finding somebody who is an engineer 50 years, and he applies him into that program. But this person would have fit maybe in the FedEx Press skilled labor or whatever PNP program. So wrong and poor documentation or process is another very big reason why visas are denied. I know the time is not on my side. As I said, immigration is a very big issue. Maybe in conclusion, I'll say that it's not only getting the visa to come to Canada. You can be denied entry to Canada at the border, Pearson, Vancouver airports, whatever, the entry point. There are those guys who dress as policemen with bulletproof. They are called CBSA officers. And these guys are just the last persons to come and give you the authorization that come into Canada. So you have to have all the requirements, and they also be prepared to answer questions by those guys or those border officers. In case you have everything, you have the visa, he asks you a question and you start murmuring and tamper with what you are answering, it can cause a denial. So therefore, it's advisable to seek help from certified and licensed Canadian immigration professions, including lawyers, to help you in your visa application process. And lastly, of course, I wish you luck for all those who want to come to Canada. Permanent is a very good country and beautiful country to do business. Everything is regulated, and I know you will benefit more from this conference. I thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Richard. So please join me on my big comfy couch. Join me. Have a seat. Have some water here for you. So before we get into the audience, before we get into the audience for any questions that they may have, I have a question for you actually. So in terms of business and immigration, what are some of the, I guess, with any of the youth or any individuals that you come across who are trying to migrate to Canada, what are some of the type of businesses or business ideas or proposals that they have that they're trying to bring to Canada? And which ones are actually, do you think in your experience, are actually successful?
Yeah, thank you very much. Actually, that's a very big question, and I'm going to give a big answer. I think come across only two people, and this out of maybe 100, who came with an idea to do business here. People out there, they don't know that you can come here as a business person, invest and do business. So that's why I'm saying I think this is a next, I think maybe this conference will be a global event. It should be advertised widely so that people come to know what Canada is all about as far as business. To answer your question briefly, is that Canada is a multicultural country. And so many people, unlike the US and the other European countries, when people come to Canada, they kind of, we retain our background. You hear Italian Canadians, Portuguese Canadian, they organize the Greeks, Ugandan Canadians, they stay with that bracket. It's very rare in the US to hear those Italian American. When they go there, they call them Americans. But here people stay in coma with their country of origin. So actually, from whatever part of country you are coming from, you can actually provide business to the need of your community here. Like in Uganda, we have some few people who are doing business, especially bringing food stuff to Ugandan Canadians. And they are, I think, doing very well. If they are not doing well, they wouldn't be involving in that. Some are starting on clothing. People still want to dress not like Canadians, but maybe when they have an event here, they have to dress culturally. Yeah. And it might be hard to find the Ugandan clothing in Canada. So to answer your questions, some of the problems people find, we have what we call a business immigration class. And each province sets out the requirements, though they might appear huge if you just read on paper. But there are other options how you can come in and do business in Canada. Maybe you buy business or you co-own business with a Canadian. Some people want to pull out. It can be a convenience store, as simple as that, and it requires maybe about 20,000 contribution. Maybe the owner wants to pull out and is no longer interested. That's his reason. But he's maybe willing to find that person who can contribute capital and they pattern to do business. Okay. But actually the biggest issue is lack of information. To answer the question, people lack information about Canada. Especially like when I came to Canada, I didn't know much about it. And such a forums, I think, will market Canada more to the grassroots of our people who would like to come here. People think that you can only do casual jobs. Yes. Yeah, I have found so many applicants with masters to PhD, but they are telling me I rather come and do cleaning. And do
you think that's? I don't mean to cut you off. I actually was having this discussion with some friends the other day. Because there was an article, I don't know if anyone has seen this article of Dubai banning or putting a hold on, I think it was Ghanaians.
Yes,
I'm Ghanaian, so
yeah, even Ugandans are being deported. Yes,
and the discussion that came about was the fact that we have our brothers and sisters, our families back home in Africa who. They went to school, they're nurses, they're doctors, they're engineers, they're electricians, you name it. And when they're done school, it's hard for them to find a job in their field. And then with that, there is this quote, there's no jobs in Africa. Yes. And the discussion was, it's not there's no jobs in Africa, there's no jobs that they want to do. Now, I guess I'm also gonna add another question there. Is it wrong? Because I when I finished school, I went to school for my profession, and I was still a manager at Cineplex. And if anyone from Cineplex is watching this, the fact that I said your name, you guys send me a check. I was a manager at one of the theaters, and it didn't deter me from looking for a job in my field. And I didn't stop working there and say that it's beneath me because I went to school and I should be in an office. But I was still hustling. So why is it that me as a Canadian kid, my mentality was, okay, well, I'm going to work. I'm going to do, if it's quote unquote, if it's mediocre work, I'm going to do that until I get into my profession. Whereas our counterparts in Africa are like, there's no jobs because they're not doing the work of their fields. What advice would you give them?
Oh, thank you. I think that's the attitude which is coming actually from two area of 2 point of, in my opinion. The first is the type of education we get in Africa, especially from the high school to university. You are taught to be very productive, and in quotes, to do a white-collar job. And then our social and cultural attitude. When they know you've gone to university, they are not supposed to see you doing some casual, some job in a convenience store, for instance. But I've seen here kids born here, They are Tim Hortons, they hold degrees. They are in clubs, they are working as waitresses. These people are University of Toronto master's students. But it's rare in Africa, like in Kampala, to find somebody who is doing his PhD thesis, maybe doing a chikomando, they know the Ugandans, doing the chapati thing as a kind of snack we're doing. But it's regarded to be done by people who have not gone to school. So the mindset is there too. But as far as immigration is concerned, I talked about your career there. I always ask people, send me your resume or send me your CV before I do the eligibility assessment to come to Canada. Yes. And what people they send me is actually something to impress me, that somebody has done a big job, so he went to very big universities. Yes. And then I come back and say, but the jobs which are available now, have you ever done something in catering? There are a lot of jobs in Nova Scotia, and they want about 5 hoteliers or people who can work in the restaurant. Can you do that? Oh, yes, I forgot. I worked during my vacation, I worked in a certain hotel. Do you have anything to show? Yes, I can. He didn't put it on the CV. So the question of mental attitude, our mentality and also mindset is a big, big issue on this. So many people miss out. If I want to come to Canada and I'm somewhere, I think I would be using all opportunities, whether as a visitor, whether as a casual laborer, or whatever, a farm worker. Come here, then come and change status. You can find your dream job, or what you want to do, or what you studied. Yes. Once you are here. Yes. But we are now looking, as an immigration field, something that will bring you here. That's the most important. Yes. So when I ask our viewers, what is your status? I mean, send me your resume. Please put whatever you have done. Yes. If you have been a security guard somewhere, put it there. So that I have a fertile ground to help you, advise you accordingly. Because you must be having a Master of Science, for instance, in chemistry. But there's nobody who will apply, actually, no pharmacy is going to take you from Uganda to come and work here. Maybe they will, but you go through a very high hurdle. You'll be competing with people from Australia, US, who actually the same system of pharmacy here. They believe so, I think so. But if maybe you have your MS, but you have done some construction during your maybe vacation, and you know bricklaying, there must be some laborers who are needed somewhere. In so many Canadians can believe me. The whole of downtown is now under construction. Oh, yes. They want these people who are helping in construction. Yeah. But you don't put that background. It's small, but it can help you. Yes, I think I'm not going into more detail.
But we shouldn't be embarrassed or hide our genesis, our beginning. Like that's what builds you. You don't, as they say, you can be sweeping one day a establishment, and then 5 years down the line or 10 years down the line, you're the owner of that building that you were sweeping.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Sure.
Do we have any questions from our audience? Okay. Do we have a mic?
First of all, Mr. Richard, your presentation was very interesting.
Thank you.
I enjoyed it word for word. Thank you very much. I have 2 interrelated questions about immigration. Basically, they belong to change of status. Number one, many people feel that they come and buy a property here or buy a business here, and they can automatically get immigration. That's item 1. Item 2, on the media, radio, TV, and so on, we keep hearing that if you're here as a visitor, it's very easy to change your status into immigration. There seems such exaggeration in those advertisements, but I thought you might put some light on it. Thank you very much, Mr. Richard.
Okay, thank you very much. Actually, on business immigration, the reason, as I talked in my presentation, I mentioned that you must have ties back to your home country. It's not that because you're allowed to come do business here, then you qualify to be a permanent resident. It might be you can become permanent resident, that's change of status, after some, very many, depending on the provinces, because especially business migration is processed through the PNP programs, what we call provincial nominees programs. Each province have sets of rules how you're coming a business, I mean a permanent residence. You can come on a business immigration, you are given a visa, a business, an operation license, but you must fulfill some other requirements as far as immigration is concerned. It's not just change of status. Yes, you pointed out a very important point as far as change of status. There's a lot of numerous, I don't know, and it started after COVID. So many YouTubers, as we we call it YouTube information, internet, everybody is talking about coming to Canada and giving information. Please, please, if that person mentioned is the name, go to your Google search, put CICC, put his name or her name. If he doesn't have a license of an immigration consultant or a lawyer of good standing, just consider the information he's giving is just marketing himself as a person, or you want some money.
Yes.
I'm telling you, there is this problem. Right now, as I was driving to come here, they sent me another clip. Somebody is saying, Canada wants a lot of people who want to work in healthcare and puts a lot of qualification and even the hourly rate. The information is true. We will need health workers here. But he doesn't mention any qualifications. And what he does, he leaves his name and telephone number. And desperate people, when they call, they will say, you tell them, okay, first send me $500. And people, that's what they do. They send $500 and you don't hear about that person again. They keep on changing some of the websites. You know how it create this stuff on Facebook. After somebody has accumulated so much funds, he will change another name and then put another advert. On another point, am I forgetting the other point? Is about, what was it? Yes. Okay, if you buy property, especially if you want in regard of changing status, definitely it encourages you to, I encourage people to get property here, even if you are you are not a permanent resident yet. When you send your application, it can add on to ties to Canada. Why do you want to stay? Maybe you are applying on humanitarian grounds and compassion grounds. But that doesn't automatically make you application go through because you have a house here. There are other requirements which I want you to get information from the internet on the IRCC, not YouTubers or normally Facebook or TikTokers. Get information from the official website. And whenever you type a search word there, getting permanent residence, if you acquire, it will give you a lot of official information than getting it from maybe unauthorized people. As I said, the internet is a very good tool, but it can be as well dangerous. So many people have been conned through the internet. Actually, as RCICs, we are coming together, we are having a conference, and this is going to be one of the major topics. Because some of us actually cannot go on YouTube, or you can. So many people are telling me, why don't you go on YouTube and provide this information? I don't want to be taken in the same category. What I do, I provide my website, and you can read from there, which is www.richcan, RICHTCAN, Richcan, just between rich and can, put a T, and then immigration.com, sorry. That's my website, www.richcanimmigration.com. You'll find my official information there. Yes, sir.
All right, we have a question in the audience. Go ahead.
I have a two-part question. The first part relates to the rejection of widely rejected student applications. Please shed some light on what students should be doing before they apply and why they are rejecting. And there are quite a few myths that if you are pick a college in Toronto, you will be rejected, or if you pick a educational institution elsewhere, like northern areas or somewhere, you have high chances to be accepted. Are some other kind of conditions attached to it? The second part is, since this forum is for young business entrepreneurs, what would be your advice to them who are sitting outside Canada and running kind of a small business? What is your advice for them to come to Canada as a business person or on business visa, or any other way you suggest they should be following? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes, as I said, immigration is a very wide area. If I discuss students' applications and the application is in Canada, it will also take another 2 or 1 hour. But simply to answer your question, a student, first of all, you have to apply and get accepted to Canadian college. That is part of the education part of it, which normally some immigration consultants do, and sometimes they use educational consultants. They are two different. But if you get accepted, then you need the immigration to get the study permit. In order for an immigration officer to issue a study permit or study visa, one must fulfill three things, fundamental things. The first one, you must have paid the tuition fee for at least 1 year in the Canadian institution, and you have to show receipt. Second, you have to deposit some money in the Canadian bank for your welfare. When you come here as a student, that you at least you don't run to social welfare to government, that you don't have where to stay. So you must have some money, at least $10,000, deposited in a Canadian bank, and you show evidence. Second, I can see the time manager is giving a good eye. But a third one, which is very important, you should show a financial capability, a financial base of your sponsor. Your sponsor, as I said in my presentation, must have a very nice, good, in quotes, bank statement showing some economic activity, and that he's earning money and is able to sponsor your education even if you don't work here. Canadians are very generous people. When you come as a student, they also, especially postgraduate students, they issue with a study permit. So when you come here and you are above 18 years, most of the students, they give you a study permit and you work. But still, there is hope. Maybe some, my sound, okay. You might not be able to work, so your sponsor will continue giving you welfare. So the sponsor should attach things like assets, possession of property, economic property, not just a registration of business, if maybe your father is having businesses, which show that he has a financial muscle behind his financial capability to sponsor you here. Second, you must not be inadmissible to Canada. You must not have a criminal record. You know, these are things which you fought at school and they took you to police station, and then you think your father is very rich. Then that one reflects on your application. You might be denied. Second, the last one for the business young people.
Excuse me.
Yes.
Before you go to the second one, do you advise them to attach their criminal record from their country?
No, if you have a criminal record, and this one maybe I mentioned it, but I didn't stress it. If you have a criminal record, it doesn't mean that's the end of you to come to Canada. Please mention it to your immigration consultant or lawyer. We have remedies to deal with criminal record. First of all, there is rehabilitation for foreign nationals. We look at the time at which you actually were convicted. I mean, you were released from you finished your conviction at the time you are applying. If it maybe it's I think 5 years. Must have completed your conviction 5 years before you apply to Canada. And then we apply for, so many people have a criminal record of 10 years. They completed their conviction 10 years. The immigration officer will go through the application of rehabilitation, that this person is remorseful, he had a criminal record. But if you don't show that, it is still reflected. As I saw there, I can't discuss in global security issues here. But if you went, even if you went into a village magistrate Ugandan court in a remote area, for some of you who knows Uganda, it might be in Chamutakasa, there was a grade 3 magistrate, and he convicted you. You are in the record of the global, they can find you out. And these immigration systems, they can run your name and find that so and so he has a criminal record. He cannot come here. So as far as the business, I encourage young people to use the bank. Bank institutions are very helpful, not only to keep your money or lend you money, but in some global issues, especially even if you get a serious partnership, like I was going to mention. Some young men, most of them, they cannot raise the capital. That's true. Like most provinces mention about 200,000 Canadian as your running capital. But some businessmen are looking for serious people. They are here in Canada. They are looking for business investors. They are what we call business incubators. And they are very, I can't, as I said at the time, immigration issues. If you get a very good business plan, you can submit it to you could use an immigration consultant or immigration lawyer who does business immigration, of course. He will find you investors who are interested in your skills. Some of them are University of Toronto. They are not persons. They are organizations, those investment incubators. I know most of these things, you can find them on the internet. I advise you, please, viewers who are viewing me online and participants, use your cell phones, not only on WhatsApp. Google IRCC, Immigration Refugee Citizenship Canada, and put the word business immigration. This information, the information I'm giving you is all written there. Business investors, incubators, groups, that's their work to do. Looking for serious and people who have actually input. You might not have the capacity. You can come as a group. You bring your idea. Maybe you want to start dealing in tiles. Let me say, you are chemists. You came up with an idea to maybe manufacture a certain type of a tile. You come as a group, put your business plan. Of course, you will spend some money because not everybody is a specialist. Look for these business professionals who can draw up a good business plan, forward it, and you show your capacity intellectually and maybe a skill that is needed here. Then they process from there. I don't know if I've tried to, but there's a lot of opportunity. So many people look at solely, they look independent on capital. Where do I get the money? But they have a lot of brains. We know so many people in my country, Uganda, so many trained scientists, so many trained artisans. They can do a lot of skill work. Like some of the work I see on the buildings back home, and we call it finishing in a layman's business. It's done by people who are not so much with level of education, but it's very much presentable. Even when the tourists come, they admire it. But it's not here. Why don't you write up a paper maybe get a group of some of these people, the youth that have gone through colleges, technical colleges, put up a paper about finishing and see if it can sell to the Canadian incubators and come maybe start those designs here. Why not? I see so many people, even I travel to Kenya, I see so many craftsmanship on buildings, which is not here. Here we have something which is a stereotype. Almost every building looks at the same. But you can walk through the countryside in most countries, and every country is different from the other. Where do they get those skills? Of course, they innovate. They maybe change some of the designs, and then they come up. Why don't you sell it to Canada?
Yeah, you're right. That's actually a great idea for anyone that is looking to get into, the construction sector in Canada. But Mr. Richard, we thank you so much. If they are looking for you, as you said, your website is rich, so RICTCAN at immigration. No, not at immigration. So RICTAN immigration dot com.
.com. Yes.
All right. All right. Thank you so much. Let's give him a warm round of applause.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. That was amazing. I didn't actually even know about the criminal record. Not gonna lie to you. I wouldn't tell them if I got convicted because I would be scared, right? That would actually maybe decrease my chances. But honesty is the best policy. So please, if you do know that you have been convicted or you have some sort of legal trouble back home, please make sure that you make that evident on your application. Before we go to our next speaker, Global Youth Business Forum 2022 is a program by Elgon International, supported by Quacaf International, Udoku's, and PAC Policy. So I just wanted to highlight that and, thank them for putting together such an amazing forum to highlight, especially for our youth. Our next speaker, Mr. Mohammed Hafiz, he's a qualified dispute resolution professional from York University. He has mediation under his belt. His credentials, he's a qualified mediator. He received a distinction awarded by ADR Institute of Canada, a member of the ADR Institute of Ontario, as well as ADR Institute of Canada. He is a graduate of York University's Dispute Resolution Program, Family Mediation Program, as well as a graduate of York University's Advanced Negotiation and Mediation Skills Program, all with top grades. His mediation experience is he's a subsequent to formal professional mediation training at York University. He has participated in a variety of mediations, both solo and co-mediator. During 20 years practice as a business and financial management consultant, and he has innumerable opportunities of mediating complex commercial disputes. Now, his memberships. He's a commissioner of Oaths, International Jurisdiction, a member of the ADR Institute of Ontario, as well as ADR Institute of Canada, and a member of the Jade Mediation Practice Group. Without further ado, I'd like to introduce, with a warm welcome, Mr. Mohammed Hafiz.
Thank you very much, Sandra, for such a beautiful introduction. I couldn't have organized it myself. Thank you. Thank you. First of all, ladies and gentlemen, thanks to the organizers of Global Youth Business Forum for offering me the opportunity to talk to you. I hope you'll find today's program very informative and helpful in your career path. Thank you very much. Yeah, great. Hello. Thank you very much again. Yes. Do forgive my appearance. I'm wearing dark glasses because I had a surgery last Monday. So I'll try to keep them on as long as I can, but if I can't read my own notes, then I might take them off. Thank you very much for your understanding. Before I start, I like to tell you a small teeny weeny story. There was this opposition leader who was supposed to address union membership. So he went to the members during their lunch break, and he went to the organizers and asked them, how much time do I have? So the organizer said, sir, you are the leader of the opposition. You can talk as long as you want, but all of us have to leave in 5 minutes. You can clap it if you like, yes. Sandra has made a very good introduction of myself. I have, a little while ago, tried to drop off my pens to each one of the audience here. If there is anyone who does not have a pen from me like this one, please raise your hand and I'll make sure that you get it. Okay, 2 of them, yes. Yes, there's some on my desk, yes. There are some on my desk and I'll help them out, yes. By the way, this pen has all the information about me. Frankly, except for my date of birth, everything is in there. My phone number, website, everything. My today's subject is mediating in complex commercial disputes. Mediation is a very interesting field for those who have passion to solve others' problems and conflicts. Let me ask you, how many of you have a knack for helping other people with their problems, disputes, and conflicts? If you don't mind, can I have a show of hands on those? Who has this passion to help others, help them with their conflicts, help them with their problems, operational problems, and so on? Good show of hand. By the way, you'll all make very good mediators. Congratulations. As a mediator, my role, my prime responsibility is to determine what my clients are suffering. What are their pain points and how can I provide relief them from those pain and hurt? If you could go to slide 5, please, for me, that'll be great. Whenever there is a dispute between 2 business people or organizations, their most common thought process is as follows. Number 1, to try to resolve the problem themselves, or to go to an experienced business person or a friend for help, and if that doesn't work out, to go to court, start a legal process. But these days, courts are flooded with cases and long wait times. Therefore, you have no control over this time factor. Usually, litigations involve higher legal costs, and you can never be sure if the court decision is going to be in your favor at the end of the day. Litigation may also involve ongoing stress and sleepless nights for both parties. And then there is another option that is becoming quite popular these days, which saves you time, money, and stress by helping you navigate through complex issues towards resolution. Yes, you have guessed it, mediation. Mediation is a voluntary process in which a neutral third party selected by the parties intervenes to facilitate their negotiation of the issues in dispute. While the mediator provides a framework, the parties participate in choosing the process and they maintain complete control over the outcome. The final disposition of the issues in dispute should be agreed upon by both parties. Start of mediation is usually straightforward. Slide 6, please. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for your help. Start of mediation is straightforward. The mediator asks first party, what's on your mind and what you are hoping to achieve today. We listen to the answer, and the mediator says, yes, all right. Then he asks the same question to the other party. What's on your mind, and what do you think you're going to accomplish today? They give their opinion, their side of the story, and the mediator says, all right. An observer may ask that two parties are polar apart. How could both the parties be right? The mediator's response, you are right too. Since both parties have emotions such as fear, anger, anxiety, and restfulness, in this situation, we usually ask questions like, what do you think about this statement? What is your opinion on this? Or if a party is hesitant to express one's emotions openly, we will talk to them in a separate room known as caucusing. Caucusing is getting quite popular in mediation because if there are reasons that people are not opening themselves up, you can have a separate chat with them in confidence. And if the normal procedure is that if you allow one person caucusing, other party also should be given the opportunity in a similar way. If you're not clear on any of those things that I'm talking about, you are welcome to stop and ask me. Really, mediation takes a common sense approach. That is where a mediator first understands and identifies what the issues are. Then various techniques are applied to create options to address those issues. Then negotiate with the parties in an effort to reach a mutually agreeable solution. Now, this is very important. No matter how impressive the mediator's qualifications, credentials, and testimonials, what's most important is how can he or she get to the bottom of the underlying issues and develops creative ways to guide them towards an acceptable conclusion. For complex commercial issues, you need a good communicator and a facilitator with the ability to motivate clients and to move discussion forward in a productive way. The best outcomes are where there is an agreed resolution. And also there's a repair of relationship. That's what a mediator strives for, where no one loses, everyone wins. Now, for a minute, let's discuss court decision for a minute. These decisions are often based on prevalent laws and legal precedents. Their decisions are rather based on who's right and who's wrong. They're with the result that you have a winner and a loser at the end. As a norm, the courts are not obliged to improving parties' relations, nor do they consider the parties' ethnic or religious background and their respective strengths and weaknesses. A mediator, on the other hand, does take into account, number one, the parties' interest, their rights, and preferences. For instance, a mediator will take into account the parties' gender, their cultural and racial background. The mediator is also supposed to keep an eye on the power imbalance that may exist between the parties so that the weaker party isn't treated unfairly. A mediator has to do all that while making sure that his or her neutrality is not compromised. Just allow me a second, please. One of the biggest challenges mediator faces is to bring both parties to a plain level field. One party brings a highly paid lawyer while the other party is self-represented. There obviously is a need to bring the powerful party down a bit while trying to boost up the weak party. How can a mediator accomplish this without losing neutrality? It is a tough balancing act. A seasoned mediator's expertise come to light when he or she can maintain a healthy balance between the powerful and the weak, and is successful in creating an environment where the parties wholeheartedly show willingness to compromise, negotiate, and head towards a mutually acceptable resolution. Emotions. Conflicts usually involve emotions. We all have emotions, and we should have emotions. But if emotions tend to interfere with the process, then we should first focus on doing away with the emotions and then get to the issues in dispute. Also, we should not lose sight of the fact that positive emotions can also be helpful in resolving conflicts. Our future, to a large degree, depends on the decisions we make today. This is particularly true of commercial sector. If you might recall, we were talking about the complex issues involving commercial disputes. Good business decisions lead to a better future for the business. That said, to err is human. Sometimes we do end up making wrong decisions, and consequently, we must pay the price. Mind you, such are the decisions on which we have full control. And then there are situations where we have no control over. No one leaves the house to have an accident, but accidents do happen. Whenever we have serious challenges in business, regardless of their source, it is very important that we have a solid plan in place to address the challenge, also known as damage control. The basic intention should be to return to normalcy before too long. Every now and then, business people make decisions with the intention of promoting their business. Despite the best of intentions, they end up making plans that do not pan out, and results are not satisfactory. Let's take the example of taking on a new partner with the intention of expanding your business. A little way down the road, you begin to realize that this partnership isn't going to work out. Now, both parties are looking for a way out, and that will entail as little monetary damage as possible before they would be able to return to their original situation. Similarly, very similar example. You start a partnership to set up a plant with a new investor. But due to some outside factors, the demand for your intended product nosedives. Now, both parties are looking for ways to protect their investment as much as possible, and again, minimize their losses. And even more importantly, what to do with the new plant. Obviously, this will be an ideal situation where a creative solution will be a call of the time. And in such situations, really, courts cannot be of much help. But a mediator with a creative mind might be able to guide them through. In such situations where partners are looking to ways to as discussed before, the most common initial reaction would be to approach a court for a just decision. However, with the courts being overwhelmed with cases these days, even the courts are now turning cases over to court-appointed mediators. And only those cases which cannot be resolved this way would go through the normal court procedure. It's really up to you whether you would want to engage the services of a mediator right off the start, or you would want to go to the court and then through court procedures, you are connected with a court-appointed mediator. So it's entirely up to you. Also, court decisions are like an open book. Anyone can have access to court records. In mediation, on the other hand, in keeping with the parties' wishes, everything can remain confidential. It is therefore vitally important that business decisions be made after proper research rather than on hearsays. Poor decisions can take the business to a wrong direction altogether, and it is very difficult to undo the impact. It is like throwing bills, cash money, out of the window and then hoping that the direction of the wind would change and all the bill would come back into the window. In business, this never happens. Now, we have discussed various advantages or various positives for the mediation. Let me just have a recap on some of those for your convenience. Mediation is timely, flexible, and cost efficient. Practically, you can engage a mediator on a short notice. And a typical mediation session involves only 3 hours work. Safe and relaxed environment, pressure-free atmosphere for you. I think one of the most important things in mediation is that you control your own fate. No decision will be made that will be against your will. You have the option of appearing in person or via Zoom. Most mediators offer multilingual services these days. Unlike courts, everything can be confidential. If mediation does not work for any reason, you still have the option and the right to approach a court. However, you may not be allowed to invite a mediator as a witness in that situation. I thank you very much for listening to me, and I hope this information was of some help to you. And I'm sure Sandra is going to have some questions for me, and I'm here to answer. By the way, thank you. And I do appreciate your attention and patience. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Hafiz, if you'd like to join me on the big, comfy couch. I'll
Thank you very much.
with the mic. So how are you doing today?
I'm doing very well, Sandra, except for I'm wearing these dark glasses, just like I'm walking into a bank to rob it.
But it makes you look so cool, you know? It gives you a bit of pizzazz. When you walked in, I was just like, oh, I want to know who that is. Then I looked over at my list of speakers. I was like, okay. You came with a different panache.
Thank you, Sandra. You see, actually, today I was slightly better organized.
Yeah.
A few days ago, I was supposed to address students in a convocation. And at that time, I had prepared my notes on a small piece of paper. And on my way out, my wife handed me a piece of paper, and I came. And when I was to start the speech, I realized that she had handed me the grocery list.
Oh, no.
Today, I'm a slightly better organized.
But my question for you, did you go and get everything that was on the list?
Oh, yes. I want to live.
So for all the men out there, that was a bit of advice from Muhammad Hafiz. If you want to live long, get the list. Get everything on that grocery list. But I actually do have a question for you.
Yes.
I'm actually I'm slightly in the industry, so I am exposed to mediators a lot of the time. I do reach out to a lot of them for any mediations that I need assistance with.
Yes.
And so my first question for you today, I know that the audience, they may have a couple of questions, but my question to you is, does a mediator operate as a judge? And can you pass judgment?
The simple answer is no. It is a common misconception that mediators are judges, but that is not the case. The role of a mediator is to get involved with the conflicting parties and try to find solutions to their problem, navigate them towards the resolution which is acceptable by both. A mediator does not have the authority to pass the judgment. A mediator will not pass judgment, and his role will remain towards solving complex issues. That's it.
Okay, all right, interesting. And before I pass over the questions to our audience, I actually have one more question
Yes,
for you.
please.
So for our youth, actually, youth in business who may, who, let's say, if they do seek legal counsel or legal advice, when they are in any sort of issues, would you suggest that instead of saying, well, I'm going to sue you, I'm taking you to court, would you suggest that they actually reach out to a mediator to mediate any sort of issues that they may have with any contracts or with any disagreements between partners? What would you suggest?
If there is a situation of disputes or conflicts, that definitely would be an ideal situation to seek a mediator's help. Sandra, I am in a very lucky position because I have had an extensive background in financial management, immigration, and so on. I started out my career in Canada with the Federal Bank, where I was involved in funding businesses.
Oh, wow.
I was there for 10 years. That gives you an exposure to how to analyze businesses, how to basically credit decisions.
Yes.
And then I graduated myself into immigration, and just like Mr. Richard here, I was an immigration consultant for about 20 years.
Oh, wow.
And at the same time, I was doing financial management consulting. So those areas, they gave me such a, if I could use modestly, depth of knowledge into financial analysis, creating solutions for business problems, addressing operating business problem issues, and so on. My primary role as a mediator is to find solutions for disputes and conflicts. But having had the experience that I have, I am always there to answer your call.
Yes.
If you have any questions about operations of a business and so on, spending 5, 10, 15 minutes over the phone is not going to cost anybody anything.
Exactly.
But the help is there. This is most important. If you have a business operational problem, a few minutes call is not an issue. If you have a family mediation issues, family dispute issues,
Yes.
obviously you would come. Then there is a workplace issues. Yeah, I think my biggest strength would be in commercial disputes and commercial operational problems.
Okay.
Give me a call, and I'll be there. I will make sure that everyone has that magic pen that I passed on to
Yes.
everybody. And anybody who doesn't have, I'll make sure that they do.
I got my magic pen, and I got it in my favorite color, so I'm excited. To
So
see
if,
magic.
again, I'm repeating myself, if anyone has any questions about a dispute, a conflict, business operational problem, any family issues, any of those situations, I'm always there to answer the call. If I don't answer the call, leave a message, it will be returned. I guarantee you that.
Do we have any questions from our audience? I believe we have one. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah,
Thank you, Mr. Rashid Khan.
that's talk. We're talking about business, and some transactions are international. Buyer and a seller, Canada and abroad. Do you deal with international disputes, like a trade disputes also, or is there any forum we can go?
Thank you very much, Mr. Khan, for this very interesting question. With the COVID, from the time that the COVID came around 2.5 years ago, from that time, all our practices, most of our practices have gone on Zoom. And that also opens up the opportunity to deal with international situations. We have international clients that we deal with, and if a situation comes where I myself am not in a position to help out for a typical situation which is beyond my limits, I belong to a network of mediators who can be approached for the correct help. In other words, depending on nature of the question, nature of the problem, nature of the issue, okay, we know how to get the right party if I personally am not able to assist. Thank you.
I have another question in the audience. Thank you.
Hi. Thank you very much. It was a very good, informative.
Thank you.
I have a question and a comment.
Yes.
Question is, inform for any party to attend or take seat from your organization. What is the economics involved?
I'm sorry?
In order to take assistance
Mhm.
from your organization,
Yes.
what is the economics involved? B.
Oh, okay. The 15 minutes that I earlier requested, that is without any charge. Even if it takes a bit longer, no problem. As far as our charges for the mediation services are concerned, as I mentioned earlier, a typical mediation session will be about 3 hours. And our fee structure for that varies, but majority of situations, it will be approximately $600. And yes, that is correct, yes. And initial consultation is always free. A few minutes phone call is always free. And I thank you for this very interesting question. And I'm sorry it took me a while to answer that, yes. Thank you.
And the comment following the question is that the title of this Expo was very interesting.
Yes,
That's what brought myself with my daughter
yes.
to empower our next generation, the youth. I would recommend that more focus should be given to how to find this youth to this forum.
Very good. Sandra, I couldn't have said that myself. It's absolutely very accurate statement. Thank you very much, sir. The only thing that I'd like to add is that before we conclude, if you allow me,
Yes, please go ahead.
the people that we have in audience today, some of them are students, some of them are business people, and so on. If anyone has any problem, any situation where they don't know who to turn to, business people have their professional networks, accountant, lawyers, and so on. But sometimes everyone has a situation where we cannot discuss that particular situation with our own network. So that is where there has to be a sort of a thought process in your mind as to which way to go. My suggestion is, and this is purely my opinion, it is not my professional guidance, it's purely my personal opinion. Whenever you have any difficult situation and you don't know how to come out of it, my suggestion is that you first go to your parents if they are around. They know you more than your life. If your age is 18 years old, they would know you 18 years and 7-8 months on top of that, because they know your personality, your likes and dislikes, and so on. So they know you better than anybody else can. You can always discuss your problem with them. If that doesn't work, go to your teachers. That should be helpful. If that doesn't work, you can go to your friends. So the idea is that you should get the right help for the issues that you have. And if all that fails, don't go to a court. Go to a mediator.
You know, I will piggyback off of our sir's question, our comment, sorry. And I do agree that forums like this are needed, especially for the youth, and ways to even, I guess, promote or get more youth involved in these sort of settings is for us as parents, as business owners, as entrepreneurs, to always have our doors open. As Mr. Hafiz said, if you are looking for even that 15 minutes of a conversation, his door is open, or his phone line's open up to you for you to contact him. And the youth at times don't know where to turn to, or don't know how to get access to such things because they feel like people are not willing to listen. So if you're out there, you're watching, or you're in-house, there's always people that are willing to listen and willing to help. But also remember, time is money. I'm not saying that you're paying for the time, but time is money. So you also need to understand that utilize the time that you get from these people. Utilize the time of you sitting here. Like, don't just leave and you left with nothing. So I want to thank you again, Mr. Hafiz, for joining me on the Big Comfy Couch, and also for dropping some gems, okay? All right.
Thank you ever so much.
All right,
Great.
thank you.
Thoroughly enjoyed it.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, in-house and online, you know, you guys are quiet. I forgot who said it, but, you know, when you're hungry, you're angry. So I don't know. I don't want you guys to start throwing stones. But in the meantime, we are going to take our lunch break. When we come back, we do have a speaker that will be educating us on financial literacy. Once again, if you're watching us online, we are going to take a pause, but do come back. Share the link. It's Elgon Solutions, Inc. Go on the page, join, follow, share, subscribe, all those things. So many things. I don't even know what to say anymore. But please do. And as well, if you are looking for me, yet again, I am Sandra Neen. I am your moderator. I'm an author of a book titled Child of an Immigrant. Also a journal, That's a Great Idea. And another book that will be released next month called A Key to Self-Help, 30 Days of Affirmations. You can find me across all over social media as Sandy Aneen. I am not hard to find. I don't bite, so connect. So I'll see you guys in 1 hour.